So now we will move into the President's address, and thank you again for being here today. I would like to first recognize and thank our corporate sponsor, Farm Credit Canada, and our platinum sponsors, Safe Work Manitoba, Dairy Farmers of Manitoba, Hub International Strata, Manitoba Pork, MASC, the Cooperator Insurance, and Patterson Grain. This event is not possible without our sponsors, and the rest of whom will be identified throughout our meeting. I would also like to recognize our out-of-province partners and the U of M students who are in attendance here today. To begin my address, I want to underline the importance of how, as an organization with democratic and grassroots decision-making process, we value greatly the input we receive from our members, commodity groups, and the whole industry. This is what drives our advocacy efforts as the voice of Manitoba farmers. That is why we are all here today, to hear from the grassroots about what issues are affecting you on your farm, and how to address them, and how to help guide a discussion around where we think our industry should be heading into the future. This past year was a far different year than 2021, with excessive amounts of moisture and periods of extreme heat, with strong winds during seeding earlier in the year. Weather led to delays in seeding, with hundreds of thousands of acres unseeded, in particular those farming in the Interlake region. While harvest was later than normal, what we heard from around the province is that producers were pleased with the crop quality and yields that were able to get off the fields and into the bins. There was a good production of forages and pastures over the year, which helped livestock producers maintain quality and quantity of feed for their animals. We faced challenges with rising input costs, in part due to the escalation in conflict between Russia and Ukraine. This is something we raised with government and media to bring attention to this important issue. While we did see some higher input costs, crop prices were in good place and allowing many to remain profitable and to have a good harvest. Now, as I sat down to write my final address as president of CAP, I had come many thoughts in my head. There's one, however, that kept coming up. And what are some of the big challenges that we have to face right now as farmers that we can expect will only intensify as years to come? And why does what we do as an industry matter? The burning issues that come to mind are around sustainability and environmental stewardship by producers. Specifically, how policy is being set by government, the public discourse we hear in society, and how all this affects public trust in our sector. Are we ready as an industry to take on these challenges? These are areas of concern in agriculture that I truly believe are at the forefront right now. While these issues do exist and are a focus, we must ensure that the economic viability of production while striving towards food security commitments in Canada and around the globe. This is why what we do matters. Our team at CAP has been working with our farmer members and partner organizations to advance priorities and solutions that address these challenges. Where do we go from here? As farmers, we strive to ensure the sustainability of our lands that we work and harvest. Our farms are our livelihoods, and without continued prosperity of the crops and products we produce, we could not continue to earn a living and generate the billions in economic activity that agriculture produces here in Manitoba. Agriculture is an industry focused on science-based technology and practices. This is something that we see isn't always understood in conversations that we have with those that are not connected to the farm as we are. Every day, farmers are practicing more and more sustainable methods, like 4R nutrient stewardship and the practices that it encourages. The number of farmers utilizing these practices like variable rate application and regular soil testing continues to grow every year. In 2021, 54% of canola growers in Western Canada indicated they are following basic 4R. 34% of Western Canadian wheat growers are soil sampling for nitrogen annually. Are we perfect? No. But has there been progress? Absolutely. There's certainly more to do, but organizations like ours are ready to do the work necessary to support farmers as they adopt higher use of sustainable practices and the advocacy with decision makers to ensure they are aware of the work being done. In my tenure as president, I believe our team has been part of many wins and made progress in our advocacy efforts for you, our members. We were able to secure the removal of the reference margin limit and increasing the compensation rate to 80% for agri-stability. We worked alongside livestock groups and provincial government to increase the number of subsidized seats at Western College of Veterinary Medicine from 15 to 20 seats. We secured improvements in the Ag Crown Lands leasing program in 2022, including temporary rent reductions. The education property tax and a disproportionate burden on farmers has been a long-standing issue for this organization. I am so proud to say we were able to successfully lobby the province for the removal of this tax by 50% for 2023, and government has committed to its entire removal to save millions of dollars for farmers. There have been necessary updates to the Canadian grain regulations that farmers have been asking for. We were successful in helping to secure initial funding for farmers for mandatory entry-level training, known as MELT, when it was first introduced. We have received and successfully improved compliance and proper application of the CAP checkoff in Manitoba and Saskatchewan. We have been working consistently with MASC on improvements to their insurance offerings for the benefit of Manitoba producers. We were able to advocate for farmers during COVID-19 pandemic and the unique challenges brought on, navigating these challenges and serving as a unified voice to government on the support that was required. We formed a coalition of groups that worked with the province on program under agri-recovery in 2021 for the drought to ensure programs were designed in the best possible way. The signing of a new multi-year agreement for the next policy framework took place this past year, the Sustainable Canadian Ag Partnership. This agreement includes an increase of 25% for a total of $500 million to directly support the efforts and initiatives to grow agriculture, and that's something that CAP has lobbied for. We worked successfully with the provincial government to transition the Environmental Farm Plan to an online platform, making it easier and more accessible for farmers to get their EFP certification. In 2019, we secured an exemption from the carbon tax for farm-based fuels purchased at cardlocks. Huge win when we consider our farming operations. We are currently working alongside national partners in our efforts as a sector, to exempt farm fuels for grain drying and heating and cooling of barns from the carbon tax. And we are confident this will occur through the passage of Bill C-234. We also helped and supported farmers during the drought of 21 through the Hay West initiative. This resulted in 21 million pounds of hay for Western Canada, with approximately 2 million pounds for Manitoba. There was also recognition by the federal government and a temporary increase to the interest-free portion of the advance payment programs from $100,000 to $250,000, something that is extremely relevant when we see the increase in input costs. So these are some of the accomplishments that have happened through our organization and our ability to lobby on your behalf. Overall, we believe our relationship with both the provincial and federal governments is positive and one that will allow us to continue delivering results for our members. We strive to work collaboratively with them, having a seat at the table, while ensuring they know where we stand as farmers when they take actions we don't agree with. These are just a few things that we have been able to lead and be a part of over the past 4 years. And I am so proud to say I was able to work with our team on the board and staff to make them possible. As we move to the future, we must recognize that agriculture has the answer to many of the challenges we face. The big challenges ahead of us will be around environment and climate, and we are working towards reducing emissions while maintaining and growing our production output. We must tackle these head on, but we must always ensure the economic viability of all the hard work that we do as farmers doesn't get forgotten by policymakers as they try to solve environmental and sustainability challenges. Farmers and others in our sector need the opportunity from government and other decision makers to provide input and be involved in the decision-making process as we tackle these and other challenges. We are here to work with government and industry on advancing our common interests and not pitting each other against one another. As I close my remarks, I want to thank everyone for the opportunity to serve Manitoba producers and be their voice as president for the past 4.5 years. I want to thank the staff and the board of CAP today as well. They are all important parts of ensuring that your voices and views are represented and that our industry remains strong. They all deserve a round of applause. CAP is positioned to deliver on advocacy, regulatory modernization, and the policy priorities in an ever-changing world. We cannot do it alone. We need you, our grassroots members, and to stay involved and have your voice heard to ensure farmers maintain a seat at the table with decision makers. Now, if you would allow me, if time permits, I am going to read a wall hanging that was given to my grandfather, passed to my mother, and on to me. And I intend to do the same with my family and grandchildren. And you might be aware I'm going to struggle with this one a little bit, so bear with me as we go through this, but I believe it puts in perspective why we do what we do and some of the messaging that we can help deliver on what farming is about. And it starts with, I believe in farming. I believe in man's greatest possession is his dignity, and no calling bestows this more abundantly than farming. I believe hard work and honest sweat are the building blocks of a person's character. I believe that farming, despite its hardships and disappointments, is the most honest and honorable way a man can spend his days on earth. I believe my children are learning values that will last a lifetime and can be learned in no other way. I believe many of the best things in life are indeed free. The splendor of a sunrise, the rapture of wide open spaces, the exhilarating sight of your land greening each spring. I believe true happiness comes from watching your crops ripen in the field, your children grow tall in the sun, and your whole family feeling the pride that springs from their shared experience. I believe when a man grows old and sums up his days, he should be able to stand tall and feel pride in the life he's lived. I believe in farming because that makes it all possible. So thank you, and once again, thank you for being here and believing in me for the past 4.5 years. So thank you.